What's up, guys? You know who it is, your boy JS7, and you know where we at. We at the rebound, baby, from round 6 from RedBud, Michigan, where we're halfway through the motocross series, or maybe a little less than halfway because, 6 plus 6, 12, we only got 11 rounds. Nonetheless, it's halfway. We had some big news. The big news was Jett Lawrence was gone. He was out. It was a shock to all of us, including myself, and I know the competition. So who would step up? Would it be Chase Sexton or would it be Hunter Lawrence to continue that Jett Lawrence, that brother love, the Lawrence domination on the Honda? We found out this weekend, and then we got the Danger Boy. Danger Boy after last weekend in Southwick, dominating, getting that overall victory. The resurgence of Far East Coast coming back. And then Chance Hymas. So the 250 class was pretty solidified by Danger Boy. But that 450 class, who was going to dominate? Well, we found out this weekend. Glad to be back, and I'm sure y'all are. So round 6, halfway, or whatever you want to say, from RedBud, Michigan. You know what let's do. Let's get into it.
Little James, Bubba,
Duck to you in the AMA Hall of Fame.
But Stewart has found a way to redefine this whole race course.
Oh my goodness.
Fastest guy I've ever seen on a bike.
He will win his second world championship.
you can call him whatever you want. He'll still kick your ass every Sunday.
So with Jett Lawrence being out, it was pretty much up to Hunter Lawrence and Chase Sexton. I feel like there was a lot more pressure on Chase Sexton this weekend because after what he was able to do in Southwick, that second moto, beast mode. I mean, when I always talk about how guys, they're a little emotional. Well, you saw what happened in that second moto at Southwick. Chase Sexton came by. Jett Lawrence would not be denied. I don't know if that was more impressive than even the 40th to first in Hangtown, the second moto, but Chase Sexton kind of established himself as the guy. But Hunter Lawrence is also right there. He's your red plate leader. But just like we've been talking about all year, even though Jett Lawrence at one point, he was in third. Well, not at one point. Maybe he was 1 point out of third, second. At one point, he wasn't leading. He didn't have the red plate, which he didn't have the red plate. But my whole point is, people, is that we've been talking about Jett Lawrence, even though he wasn't leading the points, is that he was the guy to beat. Well, even though Chase Sexton wasn't leading the points, coming into round 6, I believe everybody thought he was the guy to beat, even over Hunter Lawrence. And so that put a lot more pressure on Chase than I feel like Hunter Lawrence. But being the only guy on the Honda team, being that it's your rookie year, being that you got to hold it up, your brothers won everything, like literally, like last year you went undefeated, and then you coming into the season, getting that red plate, being able to get you a race win, it was going to be a little bit more pressure on Chase considering everything that's went down. But Hunter Lawrence, he had a big crash here last year, so I wonder him coming into RedBud, would that play a factor? But it was pretty much, as I said, it was going to be between those two and everybody else. And the first moto, Chase Sexton, Hunter Lawrence, they out front. They did not disappoint. It was really cool to watch because it was kind of the battle of like, now that Jett being out, we established that those are the guys. And as I said before, Chase Sexton probably had a little bit more pressure, and he was probably expected to win by most people. Hunter Lawrence did his thing. Like, he held up. Like, he was out there doing his stuff. You could see the difference between Chase Sexton. It was actually really cool because you can see the difference between Chase Sexton's riding style and Hunter Lawrence's riding style, but also the bike. And today, instead of doing our normal rerun show where I'm going to go down all these lists, I'm actually going to break this down a little bit different. I just want to talk about those two and something that how that first moto played out. We saw what happened in the second moto. Chase Sexton got out front, kind of went beast mode, dominated. Hunter Lawrence was in the back. Maybe he was a little injured from the crash. Maybe the bike setup was a little off, which actually I'm going to talk about that in a second. But they didn't even compete. But the first moto, it was game on. David, Goliath, David and David, Goliath and Goliath. The two guys that was 1-2 in the championship, the guys that we thought was going to be the main people, they were out there, and it was a battle. Chase Sexton had to catch Hunter Lawrence a little bit, but it pretty much, they were, cat and mouse the whole race. And it was really cool to watch because you could just see the difference between bike setup and riding style. And to me, just like there's been certain parts of the year, like the first race, Paula, we saw the Honda, the traction. Chase was struggling getting over those jumps, and it looked like the Honda was better. And then you went to Hangtown, I would say the KTM was better. You know, it was a little bit more loose, more dead, but the way that track played out, like you didn't really need it. So every race that it's been kind of, one bike has kind of been better than the other one. And all year, I would say if there's a negative to the Honda is that it's more on the rigid side. It's kind of deflecty. It seems a little bit more deflecty than last year, but that could be just because I believe they're going faster than they did last year. Well, the first moto, Hunter Lawrence, Chase Sexton are right there. If you start paying attention to their motorcycle, and today we're going to talk a little bit different instead of kind of going the whole field, I just want to talk about like them two and like their bike setup, because I think it's pretty key of how that whole race played out and pretty much how the championship's going to play out if they don't fix it. Well, Hunter Lawrence, to me, he looked good. He looked comfortable, you know, as far as he looked comfortable being out front, but he didn't look comfortable riding the motorcycle. Like the bike looked very rigid, like it looked very deflecty. And when you look at his bike versus Chase's bike, for instance, when I saw Hunter's bike, there's parts where he's going down the hill, and this is way before he crashed. I feel like the crash was inevitably going to happen. Like it was going to happen. But when you start looking at his bike, it was really deflecty. And the difference between his and the KTM was that Hunter's bike, when he was going in the corner, like he was getting the parts like and going down the hills, like his bike would be like this, and then you would see it like really deflect, like it was really deflecty. Well, when you look at Chase's bike, it was moving. It was moving a lot, but it looked like it was moving as far as just strength-wise. Like it was, like if it was busy in the front end, it wasn't deflecty, where Chase didn't have to worry about his hands coming off, where Hunter Lawrence, like he would be going and the bike just looked like this, and it was deflecty a lot. So there was parts on this racetrack where the both of them together, you can see Hunter Lawrence going down same section as Chase. His bike would go and he would hit a bump and the thing would just shoot out of his hands or deflect pretty good. And then you would see Chase go down that same section, and although his bike's moving around, like it was really just a strength kind of deal. Like, okay, the only way this thing's going to come out of my hands if I just let go, where Hunter Lawrence had to worry about the thing blowing off. Well, I think that made Hunter, as that race kept going and as that race was getting more rough and rougher, I feel like he, either one or two things was happening. Either he started getting arm pump, because there was a couple parts where he would jump over that infield triple thing, actually the section right before he crashed, that triple uphill. You could see him jump and actually pull his hands off the handlebars and kind of open his fingers up. And certain positions, you can watch certain guys, like the way their riding style is, if they got arm pump, you can tell if you start looking, like arm pump's the part where you can't work your hands. Obviously, most people watching this, they know what arm pump is, but for those that's not, you can't open your hands. So I feel like when I had an arm pump going down some of those hills, for instance, like the hill that Hunter crashed, I had to kind of decide, like, all right, I can't have my hands on the clutch and the front brake and, be able to still grip the motorcycle. So either I'm going to have to just go slower, or I'm going to have to grip the bike with a full hand and try to hold on. And you can see Hunter, it looked like he was coming out of some of the corners and he was trying to put his hands on the handlebars and like spread his fingers to try to release some of that tension. So when he was going down that hill and he crashed, I think if you got your hands fully gripped on the handlebars, then what you can't do, you can't stop. So that's the part with arm pump, like you like this, and then you have to put all fingers to slow the motorcycle down. So it looked like when he went down, it was in a sense of like, well, he had to play out both of them because he was still had Chase Sexton on him, and he had to slow down. So when his hand blew off, it looked like to me that he was in that situation of the arm pump, but he needed to try to hold on to the bike, but he also needed to be able to slow the bike down. Therefore, he was doing it like normal, and that's when he hit that bump and his hand came off. But as I mentioned before, if you look at the race, it was happening all around the racetrack. And as I said, going in some of these corners, like we highlighted it, he would be going in the corner, the bike would deflect, like really deflect. You see Chase, the bike would move. And so I think that's what ended up catching Hunter Lawrence out. And then for him, he did a good job at still having that pace, being there and, hanging on that long. And I do believe he probably would have still won that race just because Chase was struggling going into lap riders, which I'm going to talk about him next. But when he went down, he obviously kind of hit his head or kind of shook him a little bit. He got up, and I felt like he was okay because he obviously held off Justin Cooper. But I think that second moto, the crash last year, that track was tough, and the bike setup was going to be even more difficult for him. I feel like with Hunter, he took his best of what he could. So the results of second moto wasn't okay. He's not as good, clearly. I think it was more about, as I said, Hunter, he's the type of guy that is going to eat his full course meal. He's going to take his time. To me, this weekend was the first time he didn't do that. Like, he actually went out there. He was trying to go fast. He looked smooth, and the bike was kicking around. He still felt, it looked like he was like, okay, I wouldn't say I don't care, but I'm going to ride out of my comfort zone because I understand how big this win would be if I can get it. And so he took more chances, and then obviously he went down. But overall, I think Hunter and Honda, Chase Sexton is rolling. Chase Sexton has confidence, and there's been races this year that no matter who's on that racetrack, if Chase Sexton goes in that mode, you ain't going to beat him. So more than Jett, I feel like with Hunter, if the motorcycle is proper and he feels comfortable, he can compete. I feel like with Jett, because it's his second year, because, he's Jett Lawrence, he wins everything. Like, going down the hill, hit that triple. At no point did he ever think that, hey, maybe I shouldn't jump this. Like, he can overcome that because of all the success that he has had, and he's been in this class second year. Hunter's not, I wouldn't say not ready for it because he is. He's just not there yet. So if his bike's not comfortable, it's going to be a lot harder for him to just overcome that, where I feel like with Jett, he overcomes it just because he's been in the class longer. If this was 2025, then I think we might be having a different story with Hunter. But for this year, I think only way he's going to compete with Chase on a week in and week out, moto by moto, even if the track is, tough, he's going to have to get a little bit more comfortable on the bike. And I think for us, I know Honda can figure that out, and they will. I just saw Hunter being more aggressive, and as far as like, if I'm not comfortable, I'm still going to push it because I know that. Well, obviously he went down, but nonetheless, Hunter rode pretty good. He's going to be in for this fight, and I think there is a way to beat Chase. Like, there is a way. It's going to be hard. But there's a way to do it. I think Hunter can, and this season is going to be pretty good to ride these two out. So overall, Hunter did his thing. He went down pretty tough, but he got up and he ended up getting second that first moto, and then he ended up fourth the next moto. So yeah, he loses the points, but I think he's all right. His attitude and the way he's been through life, I think he'll be fine. And we'll go to Spring Creek, which your boy will be there, and hopefully he can get it done. Chase has been building all year long. And I've been talking about, once he kind of figures it out, he'll be a better rider because he'll figure out how to go faster, in different ways. And the speed that you see with Chase, all these guys, they're going fast. They might have some swaps here and there, bike kick out. He might, have a few moments. But I think with Chase, the difference between this year and last year is that this is who he's going to be more often. And with Jett being out, he doesn't necessarily have to worry about some kid just, freak out, like freak his talent, just going 3 seconds faster and figuring out how to do that. I think just speed-wise, Chase is going to be solid. And even in the days that he's off, he can rely on his fitness, where I feel like the days that he was off with Jett and Jett pushing that pace, and because Jett has the experience, not saying that, Hunter's slower, but because Jett's won so much, that I think he would just make it happen, which would put Chase more in a desperate spot, like the first moto at Southwick. Like, when he's not on and he doesn't feel, as good, or the bike might not be comfortable, Jett will run away from him. Well, I feel like with Hunter, Chase has a better chance of kind of staying there and maybe outlasting them. Endurance, the speed gap is not going to be as different. So my whole point is, right now, the difference between Chase being like here and then like here, it's not. It's going to be more here. He's going to be right here, more consistent. And he's been building like that all year long. Yes, he'll have those beast mode races like he did at Southwick and then the second moto at Hangtown. But I think with the confidence that's going on, you're going to see Chase probably, if he's not feeling that good, just kind of hang around, just kind of be there. Like even in the beginning part of the first moto, like he was just kind of hanging around and then he got comfortable. Same thing at the second moto at Southwick before he went beast mode. Like he was just kind of hanging around. Those guys took off and then he was able to catch them. I think that's what you're going to see. And the reason you're going to see that is because that's how he's been all year long. Like he wasn't the fastest, but he was just kept being consistent. The one thing with the KTM is that it's very consistent, and Chase had to figure out how to ride that. Now he's starting to figure that out. And just like Supercross, if you push, I think they're getting close, but there's still a margin where Chase can override that motorcycle. Well, I don't necessarily think that he's going to have to be in that situation as much with Jett being out. And again, this ain't saying Hunter's slow. I'm just saying that this is more about he's got time in outdoors than compared to even Supercross, and that the speed of Jett knowing how to, okay, Chase, if I'm not comfortable or whatnot, I'm gonna make sure I pull away from Chase early and then make him have to override. Where again, I just think the riding style between Hunter and Jett, it's gonna be a little bit easier for Chase. But as I said, Chase, there's a couple things that makes him vulnerable. Well, when you watch him that first moto, you look at Hunter's helmet, it's looking out. And you can see going through the sand rollers right before the finish line. Pay attention to where Hunter's helmet is and then where Chase. It looks like Hunter's looking forward, Chase is looking down. There's a point of this race where a few times it happened, they catch lap riders. If Chase is out by himself, like if he pulls a whole shot, he's got clear vision, he can take his own line. Looking down is not necessarily is going to affect him. Like that's why Chase is somewhat this year been that locomotive, but it's a fast one because he just gets faster and faster and faster. But when he's able to run his own lines, he's fine. That first moto, Chase was faster than Hunter, but the problem was when he got close to Hunter, just because like he couldn't, the way he rides and the fact that he kind of looks down a little bit more, it's like he has a hard time. Okay, like, all right, I think Hunter's going to go inside. I'm going to go around the outside. So it's almost like Hunter had to make a mistake for Chase to get around him. That's why he would get like stuck. And the same thing has happened in Supercross. I mean, it's been kind of happening, and he's gotten better at it. But the problem is when you have to pass somebody, and we saw Chase maybe struggle a little bit more getting around Jett or some of the other riders. They make a mistake, or he has beast mode where he can go down a different line. He can get around them. But if you look down in your front fender, or you look down more often, then you got to be able to, if the guy doesn't make a mistake, you got to be able to plan that out. Well, that first moto, Chase would catch Hunter. Chase would get up to him because Hunter maybe make a mistake, or lap riders. If you notice, when they got into lap riders, Hunter would be able to get around them. And every time they got there, Chase almost ran into him 2-3 times. Like it looked like he wasn't, you go past mechanics or you drop down. They go into this, section right before Hunter fell. Drop down to mechanics, go around, hit that double. There's a lap rider down in the corner. Well, Hunter's first. So Hunter goes through there. He goes on the inside of the lapper, and you see Chase going in the corner. It almost like he runs into him. Like he didn't see it. And there's a couple more places where that happened. Well, that's because when Chase rides, he looks down. And so if you're looking down, then you can't tell what's in front of you. And then, boom, you're like there. I think if I'm Chase Sexton, I got to be aware of that. If I'm Hunter Lawrence, I'm aware of that. And I think with Jett Lawrence, Jett was aware of that. That's why Jett wanted to be in front of Chase, because he is good enough. You let him out front. You let the dog out. You ain't going to see that dog. It's like letting a Cujo off the leash. He ain't coming back. Well, that's how Chase was. So being in front of him kind of helps you out. So when I say Chase is vulnerable and places, yeah, he can be beat. All these guys can be beat, and all these guys can have days that they're unbeatable. Well, that would be the only thing that I would say would be a negative on Chase, like having to get around lap riders. And because the way he rides, because the way he looks down, things happen to him, and they seem like they happen instantly, like he has no idea that they happen. And so we talked about it. People were saying even last year, it was like, man, it seems like every time he crashes, it's like he's not ready for it. Like, it's like, where the hell that came from? Well, I think that's a part of it. And again, saying a knock, Chase, other guys ride like this as well. Chase knows about this. We've been talking about it for years, and he's been working on it. But his issue was that first moto, he was faster, but you kept seeing him almost running lap riders. So Chase has to work on that. And because, again, he looks down, and if you look at Hunter's more prepared for that stuff. That's why Hunter was able to get around the lappers, and then Chase would struggle in that situation. So those two, they're going to be out there battling with each other. But I thought it was pretty cool to watch that first moto. A lot of action was going on, but just pay attention to how they look, and we're going to highlight it and show you guys. And then also with the bike setup, difference between the KTM and Honda, those were some of the biggest struggles. But nonetheless, I talked about all that. And Jason Anderson, he rode good. Susie's daddy, she rode good. Well, no, he rode good. Aaron Plessinger had to represent it was his holiday. It literally is his holiday. I want to vote for Aaron Plessinger. Other guys rode good, but nobody rode as good as Chase Sexton. Hunter Lawrence, he was there. And even though something happened to Chase Sexton's visor, I don't know what the hell happened to it. He even hit the ground, and he was pinballing that first moto because he was just going that much faster. I don't know. It blew off. No one rode better than Chase Sexton. And when nobody rides better than Chase Sexton, and he didn't even have to go beast mode, Chase Sexton ends up doing the hometown boy, first time he ever won there, on the 4th of July weekend at RedBud. And what he's going to get is he's going to get this. So please, hit it for him.
Suntan, next on fire.
1-1, Chase Sexton, dominant performance. And I know you're feeling good. You're probably like, man, I'm glad this race is over. I ain't got all these family members and stuff, but you had to represent. And shout out to KTM, the whole team, and even Chase Sexton. I said, dude, if you continue going, it would make you a better rider. Just more, not like you would be faster, because you fast as hell on the Honda, but you would be more consistent, which you are. And yeah, you have your days, and some days you have your days that those are amazing days, and other days that is not as amazing. You're still pretty solid, and you're solid enough to have the points lead. You and KTM, y'all doing y'all thing, and you got the victory this weekend. So Chase Sexton, hell of a ride, dude. Congratulations. That's 3 in a row. You streaking, son. You streaking. And Hunter, keep your head up. Jason, do your thing. Justin Cooper, he was solid. Even the Fever was out there doing his thing. So all these guys, fun track, great weekend. But Chase Sexton was the man, and he was the man that won it. Now, the 250 class. Last weekend at Southwick, I'm going to touch on that. That was a hell of a race. Tom Vial, it seems like it's going to be a year of almost. He's going to realize that he lost a lot of points. He's actually riding better than his results say, clearly. But eventually, things are going to start transpiring where it's going to go the wrong way. You out front, you go down. He should have won that second moto at Southwick. He goes down. He was leading that high point. He goes down. And even this weekend, it just seems like he's always getting caught up in those things. And so eventually, you just started riding down to that level, even though he's riding really good. He's riding better than he did last year. And I think he's a lot closer to Hayden than the points say they are. But he's, kind of shot himself in the foot. But Tom's going to keep trying. And I said one person that has the right attitude that wouldn't be so emotionally would be Tom Vial. So he'll be fine. But Hayden Deegan, that dude, he's just mad. He's just mad at the world. He rides around it's dangerous that they aren't in the danger zone. He's created this whole zone, and Chance got it. Tom got it. Hey, Masterpool, if he would have won that race this weekend, he would have been Hayden would have looked at him differently. And I will say this. He's the only person that's actually beat Hayden straight up. Like, he's the only person. Yeah, I mean, Hayden stalled the motorcycle. Actually, the first moto, he didn't stall it. He was just like there. Maybe he stalled it. I don't know. But Masterpool's the only dude that when Hayden catches him, like, he actually held him off. He did it at High Point, and he did it this weekend. And it's not surprising, but it's surprising because you didn't even think about this. He was talking about pulling factory cars last year, and now he gets on Mitch Payton doing his thing and out there actually winning. We came in the season thinking, all right, Levi Kitchen. In the kitchen, like, yeah, smoking, but he's getting his insurance claim fixed out. And then Masterpool come. He couldn't shift the first race. And then the second race, he's flipped off the motorcycle. Actually, that was the first race at Paula. He went down. But then he just got better and better. But Ty's, because of the way he's came up and all the things that's happened, and said it a few weekends ago, like, that's a hero, kid. That's somebody you look up to him. The kid always fights. You just knew if he had the right situation and he was healthy, the dude has the talent, and obviously he has the mindset to be able to keep fighting. And to me, the difference is why he's able to hold on compared to maybe some of the other riders is because of all those things that he's able to come up and overcome. He just has that grit in him, and that's why he was able to hold on to Hayden. So, but if he keep winning, Hayden gonna be, looking at him like he thought he had a chance, but he didn't. But Ty got that first moto. He said he got tired the second moto, but Ty was doing a good job. But Hayden Deegan, I'm saying him, but I'm talking about everybody else. And the reason I'm doing that is because Hayden Deegan just had a weekend, like a weekend that it's okay to have. He's got a big points lead. Everybody know he the man. He know he the man. And if you don't know he's the man, he gonna let you know he's the man. And so he can have a weekend like this, and it'd be like, whatever. Who won? Chance Hymas won. But yeah, Hayden Deegan go this weekend, he'll win anyway. And that's how it is. So Hayden Deegan, nothing happened this weekend besides he lost a few more points, but I don't even think he really lost too many points. And Chance Hymas, the only person that I will say, and I've said this before, if he starts believing, he will be a problem. He will be a problem. People, did you see him jump, like how he was riding that second moto? It looked like Robbie Renard and Jett Lawrence, Hunter Lawrence, JS. I don't even know why I was in there, but it looked like they had a baby, and that baby was named Chance because, dude, it was beautiful to watch. Dude was just jumping everywhere, like jumping. And when you want to talk about, look, I don't like a rough racetrack, and this track is rough. You want to figure out how to ride the rough racetrack? Well, just look at what Chance did that second moto. He was like, the bike ain't going to work. I'll just jump over all this. And dude was just jumping, looked like a supercross track. And because he's like that, the dude has the talent to wax y'all. Like, if you ever start believing that, look, you know what? I'm going to, like, can you imagine Chance Hymas with Hayden Deegan's mindset? Shit. But we ain't there yet. But it's slowly getting there. So whenever Chance starts getting that mindset, they used to call him Fluber, or whatever they call him, fat boy. They call him with a fat boy lead, whatever you want to say. When he starts getting that, then I think it's going to be Hayden Deegan and Chance Hymas. Those two are going to be on a different level. And to me, I think Chance is a little bit more, I guess, talented naturally. Not saying Hayden ain't, because dude's talented, but when you watch and how he puts that racetrack together, that's some skills right there. But clearly, he's injuries. He still's lacking that, but he's more wins like he gets. He's going to keep going. So that second moto, him holding off, fought East Coast was trying to get up there. He was able to win that second moto last weekend at Southwood. He wasn't going to do it to Chance. Chance held on. And to me, that's the difference as you saw the first part of the year. And as I was saying with Chance, like, he started believing. First part of the year, he would have got caught. They would have beat him. Now, because he's won a race, they couldn't. They caught him. He got nervous. He got a little arm pump. But because he's won a race, he's starting to believe more in himself. You have a few more of these, they won't even catch him. And that's the progression of Chance Hymas. So for him, Hayden Deegan, he did his thing, and there was a lot of hype, and they had some big moments. People was stalling, people was endoing, lappers almost got it, guys were out front, and then they get tired. Well, he went out front. There's people getting tired, not Chance Hymas. He got caught by Far East Coast because Far East Coast was on the west side, but had to come back. But Chance Hymas was riding around. They caught him, but they didn't pass him, and he got his first ever victory. So for Honda, they went 1-1. For Chance Hymas, it's the first time, and you always remember your first time. So Chance Hymas, congratulations, the first of many more. And once you believe, you can achieve. That boy gonna be good. Chance Hymas, hit it for him, please.
Suntan, next on fire.
All right, people. Well, said it's going to be a little bit different this weekend, a little bit shorter. There's your winners. You had, wait, did I really say it was a 1-1 for Honda? I really said that, huh? Maybe because I was just thinking Chase Sexton, he used to ride Honda, and it seemed like the last few years, everybody on Honda was winning. They won, what, how many races out of how many races? 5 out of 6. So, or wait, no, it'd be like 4 out of 6. Wait, 5 out of 4 people struggle with math. That's how my math. Sorry, people, I was wrong. Honda won one class, KTM won the other one. But don't fault me. Honda's been winning everything thanks to Jett Lawrence. Hunter Lawrence, he did his thing, but they win everything. So sorry if I'm a little confused. And Chase Sexton used to ride Hondas. He's still with the number 4, which it is still confusing, but it's starting to get on me. And he be having some rides like the number 4, but my bad. Chase Sexton did his thing. And Chance Hymas did his thing. Even though they docked him some points, he still did his thing. I don't know why they be docking points. Like, well, I actually like it. Dock me the points. Yeah, down the road, which he probably ain't going to win a championship unless something happens with Hayden. And if something happens with Hayden, then those 2 points ain't really going to matter. Because I think, yeah, if he's going between Tom, that's down the road. But at least they give him the money. He gets the money. And if they would have docked him points, then he lost all that money because he wouldn't have got the overall money. So, hey, you know what? I was kind of against that, but now I'm kind of all for it. And that's the docking of the points championship style. But leave my money alone, which they did. So, Chance Hymas, you got the overall. Chase Sexton, you got the overall. All right, people, that is the end of this week's show. But next weekend, we'll be back. And again, your boy's going to be there. So for Chase, I almost said Chase Hymas. That's the next baby that's going to come. For Chance Hymas, Chase Sexton, good job. Happy 4th, people. Happy birthday, little man. Dog tired. Dog tired. Dog tired. Any nannies out there? Any? Comment below if you want to be a nanny for the JS. Your boy needs some help. They bad. They bad. I'll give you bonuses. 2 whoopings per day. Keep it under that. You get a bonus. All right, people. I'll see you next weekend. I'll see you this weekend. Yeah, I'll see you Tuesday. Well, today's Wednesday. Anyway, bye.